In order to service the tension unit, open up the faceplate and locate the tension plate which is on the left-hand side of the machine. When you open that up, you can locate a small flathead screw, which is our top tension adjustment. In order to adjust top tension, you can turn the screw to the left or to the right slightly. About 2 inches below it, you can see that there is a lima bean shaped hole with a little pin inside of it. That is our thread sensor pin. The tension unit is not only the plate, but it runs in the machine as well. You can see that you have white gears and a tension bracket that runs from the front to the back. If you lift up on the presser foot lifter, you can see the bracket moving. When the bracket moves up and down, it should be opening up the tension discs. When the foot is up, there is no tension. When the foot is down, there is tension. Not only is it moving, but it's also hitting a micro switch as well. We can see that the bracket itself, when the foot is up, is hitting into the switch. If we remove the tension unit, you have to be very careful of that micro switch. So now let's remove it and get a better look at it. If we go through the left-hand side where the faceplate is open, on the inside there is one Phillips head screw that we need to remove. Remember, you must go on the inside to remove this. You will see the screw at the bottom of the tension plate. The second screw is on top, and we need to remove that one as well. Start to unplug the wires from the small board that is at the top of the machine. There are two, one for the tension motor itself and the other one for your thread sensor. Now, instead of tearing the tension unit out of the machine, it's probably a good idea to remove the thread guide, which holds the front part of our front panel to the machine. This is a better way to do it than to necessarily tear it out. See, we can remove the front panel a little bit and very gently and carefully start to lift up on the tension unit. Very easy to remove. Now let's take a closer look at the tension unit. Before, we were looking at the little lima bean shaped hole with the thread sensor pin, and we can see that when we move that thread sensor pin, it's attached to a little shield plate that goes in and out of a sensor. This is very important. If you had a machine that kept on telling you to rethread machine, to rethread, but you say to yourself it is already threaded, it is a possibility that maybe that shield plate is sitting too close into the sensor. Maybe the sensor is bent upward. The shield plate shouldn't be sitting all the way down inside of it. When it is doing a little bit slower speed, maybe the shield plate is not able to leave. You can see as we bend it up, it makes the shield plate closer inside of the sensor itself. An easy way to do it is just grab the bracket and bend it slightly away. Remember, we said grab the bracket, not the sensor itself. And we can see that the shield plate is not laying all the way inside anymore. Now, looking at the front of the tension unit, you can see that there is a small white horizontal gear. This is the gear that is either opened or closed when we turn the small top tension adjustment on the tension set plate. If you turn it all the way to the plus, you can see that you close the horizontal gear. This would give you horrible tension or even maybe an error. If you open up the gear all the way, which some customers do, they take it and turn it all the way clockwise or towards the minus. It opens the gear and takes it off of a track. This would most definitely give you an error message, and the step motor would not be able to initialize properly. If you look down from the top view, you can see that there are thread marks. A good setting that you can remember is that if you close it almost all the way and look down, you should only see about 2 threads. That usually is a good standard for setting tension. Now, to replace the tension unit, we want to line it up. Front panel is still slightly removed, and we have our tension bracket. We before looked at the micro switch, but let's look at it again. It's very important to make sure that we have to protect this micro switch. When putting it in, I usually use a small screwdriver to help close the little metal clip. Line up the tension unit. Move the front panel slightly out of the way. Slide it in there. And let's be careful of that micro switch. Make sure we hold the micro switch back with our little screwdriver. And slide the tension unit into place. There's nothing worse than breaking that little clip off. It would take a lot longer than it would have just to replace a tension unit, or just basically service your tension unit. Now once you have it in, start to put the screw back in on the top of the machine. The pad back on. Hold it firmly and start to tighten it. Get in there good, make sure the front panel is nice and tight again. Now, after we've tightened the front panel, line up the tension unit and put the screw back in, and you have to start to try to find the hole to be able to screw it in. It's a little bit harder because it's a tougher angle. Once you get it in there, make sure it's nice and tight. Now you want to look at the distance between the tension plate and the front panel. You would like to make sure that there is a good enough gap there. This way when customers thread it, that the thread can go through and end up in the tension disc nicely. Usually if it's closed, they would have a hard time, or they might not thread it properly. Now make sure you plug the wires back in. There was 2 from the tension motor and the sensor. Once you have done that, you want to check your discs to see if they're opening and closing properly. Lift up the presser foot lifter, up and down, and check to see if it's also hitting the micro switch.